we got to talk about this week in Concho Valley. We're watching a lot of this high pressure push in, but if you can see it very lightly, a lot of those high clouds pushing in, that's because Hurricane Norma is on her way up the west coast of Mexico. Now it's going to try to get over the Sierra Madres, and that could cause a lot of rain to push in and a lot of clouds by this weekend. And by next week, we could see significant amounts of rainfall. Looking at long range forecasts, some pretty heavy rain in the future. Finally, right now we're looking at those temperatures in the last 24 hours. We've dropped all the way down there into those 40s. Now we're shooting all the way up there into those 90s. That's a give or take about 40 degrees over the last couple of hours. Now tonight, dropping back down again, another about 50-degree drop. We're going to be dropping down into those 50s tonight. Right now, we're looking at those temperatures across the entire Concho Valley. 94 here in San Angelo. Everybody else in those lower 90s with us. And it's going to be the last hot day as the high pressure pushes out of this area. But to replace it, going to be some pretty strong low pressure. Now, we're getting a good idea of these temperatures. Even some areas like Sterling City, 94, like here in San Angelo. Usually they're about 20 degrees warmer. Right now we're seeing even those 90s down to the south, letting us know this hot weather is really just kind of uniform across the entire nation. When we get a good look at it, we're seeing this high pressure go all the way up into Nebraska, areas of South Dakota. Now we're talking about how much moisture is going to follow this behind it, because the storm that's going to push through our area not going to be nearly as severe as what it's going to do to the rest of the entire nation as far as making its way through. Upper level pattern showing you some stronger winds up to the northeast, but across the Concho Valley, that's that high pressure. Way down here, this contour is showing us Hurricane Norma. That's going to show us some winds push in, a little bit of light rain, but it's clearing the path for this low pressure system. Going to dip down so far down towards Mexico, going to push a lot of strong southwesterly moisture into the area that could cause a lot of severe weather across the entire Concho Valley by next week, but getting a lot worse for areas like Oklahoma and Arkansas. Now, when we get a good look at what that could mean as far as temperatures, we're watching this dry air push out of the area, but right behind it, we're watching even more cold air with that moisture follow behind it. Of course, when we talk about ERCOT and some of their long-range forecasting, we are looking at the potential for a very wet and cold summer. Right now, severe weather outlook really just targeting areas like Georgia, South Carolina. Rest of the nation still under that high pressure, and you can see on the radar Hurricane Norma working its way up the west coast of Mexico. Now, a lot of this high pressure about to give up. Look how strong the storm is coming around that upper level pattern, that jet stream it's following. Now, this cold air about to be pushed out of the way by this low pressure system, or at least that hurricane, like during the summer when we were dealing with Harold. Now, we're going to see it happen again in the fall, which is a pretty unusual. But over the next couple hours, we're going to watch this cloud cover really build in. Now, Hurricane Norma is going to have to go from sea level to about a mile up, 5,800 feet. But they're saying it's going to come across the mountains, and it's going to dump all this rain into the Concho Valley by Monday morning. Look at the size of this storm. A lot of moisture, then it's going to push out of the area. But tonight, let's focus on that game of the week. We're going to see those temperatures up in those 80s by about kickoff. That's going to drop about 10 degrees from now. Then by the time we start to wrap up that fourth quarter, we're already in those mid-70s. And then by tonight, we're dropping all the way down into those upper 50s. And we're going to start seeing that cloud cover push in. Could trap some of that overnight heating, but also could keep off a lot of heating by tomorrow. We're only going to be seeing up into those lower 90s, with that cloud cover really pushing in. Might even see some light rain as a result of it. But by Sunday, we're going to start to see a lot of those clouds turn into precipitation. And then by Monday, we're looking at that storm push into our area. Again, post-tropical Hurricane Norma. Then finally, as we start our way into Tuesday, Wednesday, that low pressure system pushing into our area, dropping us down into the 80s. These storms, pretty strong in nature, looking at the potential for hail. And as we start to make our way towards the weekend, storms are still going to be sticking with us while those lows are in the 60s. So it's going to be a pretty interesting weekend into a very interesting fourth week of October. Stay tuned with more after the break. You're watching KSAN News at 5.